Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new segment here with the Video Twins. We're calling this one, what, Berman? Backstage Pass?
Backstage Pass. We take people behind the scenes, or I guess behind the video.
Yeah, we
Uh,
pull back the curtain
yep, to the
on,
stuff we've done in the past. So it could be exciting.
yeah. We're going to tell you sort of how we came about to make what we made and the choices that we made while we were making it and sort of how the product ended up as it did, right?
Absolutely. I have a feeling this might be a really bad idea for us because I'm going to regret a lot of stuff looking back at the work I've done.
Well, I think people are going to find out that, yeah, when you set out to make a video, you may have one vision in your head, but as you actually try to make it, you have to make all these choices and decisions, and then it doesn't quite result with exactly how you did. But so we're going to sort of share that secret, right?
Absolutely. And you and I have done so many things where we don't have a lot of prep time going into it. It's very tight timelines and everything. So we kind of go in with half an idea and we come up with a full, completely different idea. But it kind of works out sometimes. So it's good.
Yeah. So the first one we're going to do today is a recent promo that my team here at Rainy Media did. It's for a local summer stock community theater. And so a lot of people out there may be making videos for local theater companies and something like this. So we thought this might be interesting to show you what we did with the promo. They don't have a huge budget, and they had to turn it around really, really quick. And essentially this promo is to promote the playbill for the summer. So the 5 or 6 plays that they're going to have.
And I think it's great.
Oh,
I,
thank you.
I actually love this video. So good job on it.
Thank you. And typically, the videos they've done in the past, we haven't done them. They just called us in this year. But typically, they just basically sit down with the creative director, and he just kind of talks about the plays that they're going to use. But they don't have any images from the play, and it's not really that interesting. He kind of just gives the plot. And one thing when they were briefing us on this is they kept saying, everyone thinks we're like this stuffy, serious theater here. We want people to know that our playbills, they're all funny. We don't take ourselves too serious. We do comedies. That's what we do here. So they wanted that to come across in the video. So I thought, okay, well, we have to be funny in the video then. We have to figure out some quirky way to do this. And I pitched them, the first idea I pitched them, which was I wanted to do a musical number, right? You and I have always been talking about doing a musical number, right? With dancing and all of that, right? And I thought, it's theater, we can do it. But they were too concerned because they said, well, we don't do musical theater here. That is a big myth. We don't actually do musicals. And I said, well, you could be funny by referencing the fact that you're using a musical to promote the fact that you don't do musicals. They weren't really for that. And then
No?
they also thought it would be just way too much work for everybody involved, because they have a lot of volunteers and they're just getting ready to do their summer season. So they're just really, really, really busy with just running the place. They didn't have a lot of time to do something. You'd have to compose the music, you have to come up with the lyrics, you have to coordinate all the dances. And I thought, okay, all right, back to the drawing board. But I knew that they have a beautiful old theater. And every space looks interesting, behind the stage especially. And we've got all this, professional theater talent here, is that we should do something interesting. We should do something outside of the ordinary of what they did. And I'm always looking at, like, what gear do we have? What can we do? And I was like, oh, we have the Ronin. We have the Steadicam. Let's use that. And let's do some walk and talks through the theater.
That sounds exciting. I mean, you definitely did the walk and talk with this one.
We did. So I do want to say one thing here is that we're looking at the YouTube video, which is one version of it, and it only has 724 views. That's pretty good. It went up to Facebook. It was released on Facebook on Friday, which is 4 days ago, and it's already hit 8.2 thousand views.
Wow.
And it just goes to show you that you don't have to be viral like across the world. You
Hmm.
just have to be viral in your space, and that can really help you.
Absolutely. The relevance of it is important.
So I do want to preface this and say the version that we're going to watch here is the YouTube version, and it starts with an opening logo. And I had said to the client, because they thought they wanted all the versions to have this opening logo, and I said, if you're playing it on social media or if you're playing it on Facebook, the opening shot, how we've cut it originally, is with just Derek, the creative director, turning to camera. And I said, I think we want that to be our first few frames because that's more engaging. The viewer might recognize Derek, or why is he looking at me? And psychologically, humans connect more with human faces than they do with a graphic or something. So when you're trying to grab people as they're going through their news feed to look at your video, having a face, having something there's a lot of marketers out there that use that technique, and I think there's a reason why they do.
And you're also not feeling that you're being advertised to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I did, we're going to get ready to play this one here. When I went into the client, I really didn't have a totally 100% fleshed out concept or idea.
Right.
I just said, okay, we're going to do these walk and talks. Have you ever seen the Dollar Shave Club commercial? The one that went viral,
Yep.
a couple of years ago.
Yep.
I said, we're going to do a version like that. We're going to have that vibe behind the curtain. We're going to see, how do you figure out what this playbill is? And they were like, okay, we get it, okay. And then from there, we just kind of built onto it. So, okay, let me go ahead and play it then, okay?
This is where it all begins, where I sift through thousands of pages of script to put together a playbill that celebrates the best in summer theater. And our 2018 season is going to be one hilarious ride all summer long, so buckle up. Thank you. First up is Birds and the Bees by Mark Crawford. It's a story of a turkey farmer who leaves her husband and moves back in with her beekeeping mother, who has relationship troubles of her own. It's a laugh-out-loud comedy that tackles sex, love, science, family, and the artificial insemination of turkeys.
Hey, Derek. Oh, you got a little something right there.
Thank you. Next is Screwball Comedy, the latest from Norm Foster. Now, this one is so new that I thought I would ask for some help in explaining it.
Hi, Derek.
Oh, look, everyone. It's Norm Foster, Canada's most produced playwright. I was just telling everyone about your new play.
Ah, yes.
So what's it all about?
Well, it doesn't matter. Just come out and see it.
Right from the horse's mouth, folks.
Oh, and Derek,
Yeah,
wear your bow tie.
thank you. Next is Stage Fright. It's a murder mystery like you've never seen. There's this huge film premiere looming, a diamond necklace has gone missing, a scandalous affair is about to hit the headlines, and it appears everyone is trying to murder someone while blaming everyone else.
Hey, Derek.
Oh, hi, Nicole.
They need you in the shop.
Shop, why, what's up?
I don't know, something about your play?
Really?
Oh, here.
Thank you. Stefan, you wanted to see me.
Yeah, Derek, I was just reading your play again, Fair and Square. It's pretty funny.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I can't believe you wrote it.
Yep, I did.
I could totally relate to how the couple's relationship was breaking down, and at the same time they're doing renos and flipping houses.
Yep.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe you wrote it.
Okay. Well, that's Fair and Square, running August 8th to the 25th.
Oh, Derek, wait!
Yep.
You're gonna need this.
Thank you.
You'll love these. Thank you.
And that leads us to our final show of the 2018 season, Educating Rita. It's an on-stage battle of wits between a disillusioned British professor and a fiery street-smart woman. It's smart and touching, and it will stay with the audience long after the curtains have dropped. Thank you. This year's playbill is going to light up the stage with our trademark sense of humor. And when you purchase a ticket online or through our box office, you're investing in a theater that is grateful for your support. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you all summer long so I can thank you in person.
Derek,
Yeah,
you're late. Show's about to start.
thank you.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Fantastic. Loving it. I can see why you got so many views on that thing.
We had a lot of fun making that. We had a lot of fun. And
It seems like there's a lot of prep work for something like that. I mean, timing, every shot or, every segment is one shot all the way through. How were you able to manage to get everything timed correctly?
so here is the most important tip that I can share on actually making this thing, and that is rehearsal. We went to the scene a week before we were going to shoot, and I took the team with me, and we walked through every scene, Derek, the actor there, he had it roughly memorized, whatever. But I mean, he knew how to pace and he knew how to hit his marks and all of that. So all we had to do was, okay, where's the light coming in? Where is he coming? Is that enough timing? It was all about timing, right? How much dialogue does he have to get to that place, and then what's going to happen? So if we hadn't have done that rehearsals on the day, you're there and you've got all the equipment and you've got the other volunteer actors that are coming in, things slow down dramatically. So if you don't already know what you're doing, you can waste a lot of time. We actually shot this in 4 hours.
In 4 hours, wow.
Yeah.
And
it was just 3 of us.
On the rehearsal day, did you also shoot with the camera, or was it just kind of pretending you had a camera and just walking through in that sense?
No, I took the camera and I took the lens. I didn't have the Ronin. I didn't have the Steadicam, but I had the camera and I had the lens that I thought I would need. So I could check, okay, is there enough light coming in here? What is the camera capturing? What's the frame here? And that was integral to actually being able to go in, and then we really looked good on the day because we could just make decisions quickly because we knew that's it, that's the shot. Now we're just fixing stuff to make that look good and filling in the empty space or getting the timing exactly right or working with the secondary actors that were in there.
I see. So let's break it down a little bit. Right off the bat, when I'm looking at something like this, the first thing that worries me is obviously, I know that you used the Ronin to shoot this, the focus point that goes all the way through. Because a lot of challenges that we have, we're using prime lenses and it's manual focus and all that stuff. How were you able to keep the action in focus all the way through?
Yes. When you're doing something like this, you're going to have to sacrifice that shallow depth of field because it's just, it's too narrow for your talent and you who are moving at the same time to constantly stay in focus. In the movies, they can do it because they have a whole separate guy, a second person who's remotely following that focus with a follow focus, and he's keeping you in focus. But when you're just a small crew like us and you don't have that tool, basically what I did was I went as wide as I wanted the shot to be, and then I closed the iris down to about a 9 or a 10.
Wow, okay.
And then I blasted it with light, and I raised the ISO up a bit.
Right.
So I was shooting with a higher ISO, I was blasting light, and that allowed basically everything to be in focus.
I see, okay. And then in terms of the lighting, you mentioned that as well. How do you keep everything lit properly?
Well, you're breaking everything down into segments. So if you watch the first scene with Derek at his desk, that's one shot there, and we had one LED light in there bouncing off the ceiling. And if you look right here, hey, right there, see that prop plant that's in between the door and the wall there?
Yep.
That's hiding the lamp, and you can see as he walks by it, it gets a little bit hotter on his face, but it's just quick enough that you don't really notice it.
Right.
And then we had another light so we have a light for the start position and a light for the end position.
Right.
And you're kind of balancing in between. The biggest challenge wasn't so much light, but it was color temperature of light.
Right.
Because look at the walls behind. You got this nasty yellow in his office, and then the hallway, we've got kind of this greeny yellow.
Yeah.
So having a consistent color temperature was tricky.
Right.
But Holly was able to fix things in post when she went in and color corrected everything. And because it's moving from one color temperature to the other, we'll show this right here in the B-roll, is that you're using dissolves you have 2 different shots and there's a cut between them.
Yeah.
And they have 2 different color grades on them. And then you put a dissolve so that it subtly transitions into the next shot, even though it's one shot.
Right.
And that color grade comes in at the time that it's needed.
Okay. So essentially it is one shot, but you cut them into segments of where the color changes, and then you do the color grading for each one in that sense, and you dissolve. Okay. I was wondering how you did that. That to me, that's the challenge.
So I do want to say something about the content of this. The brief was, we've got to explain what the plays are, the 5 plays. We've got to say what they are. I didn't, start from scratch with that. I knew we wanted to do the walk and talks, and I knew we needed the information of the plots of the plays. So when I wrote the script, and I kept it rough, but I just went to their own marketing materials and what are other people saying about these plays and how do they describe them, and I just took from that and rewrote it for video and put them in there. And then I would, so I'm not stressing out like starting right at the top of the page and having to fill all these pages. It's like, okay, let me just put in what I know now. Somebody else wrote a great sentence, I'll just borrow that, put that in, that works for, dialogue. And then I added some jokes and some sort of some segues. And then when I gave it to them, I warned them. I said, this is very, very rough script, but it's a template, and it's kind of here. Feel free to change any jokes, add to it, whatever, because I don't know your world as well as you do, and there might be some little inside stuff. So because they're creative, they were able to come back and go, okay, well, we'll have this, and we'll do that, like adding the belt. The whole idea was, it's not so much that he's just walking through the theater, but why is he walking through the theater? Well, he's getting ready. He's getting ready for opening night. So we've got this kind of visual transformation that he goes through while he's talking about the plays.
When you mention about script writing and everything, the first thing I also thought about is at what point because this is for a client, it's their product. They know the product well. When do you let the client write the script? When is it that you decide to take over and go, I'm going to write the script?
Well, sometimes writing is, okay, it really depends on the client. For instance, with this one, I knew that although they're creatives, they're very, very busy, and they don't have a lot of experience writing video scripts, and that they're going to look to me, because if not, it's going to get really stressful for them, and they're not going to get it done, and they don't even know where to begin, and they're going to give me something that's super, super safe. And I kind of knew what I wanted, so I thought, well, let me start, and I'll get the ball rolling. Then you can add to it, and then I'll revise what you've added to it, and it'll be ready for video. But then there's other clients, like with Michael Hyatt, where they have all these writers. So obviously they're going to be very heavy-handed with their scripts. But I may make a few changes here or there just to make it work better for video.
Even for me, when I do scripts for like corporate videos and stuff like that, I try to get the client just to give me some point form notes of what they need to incorporate into the video. And from there, I kind of write something for them. And like you said, pass it on back to them to see if they want to tweak anything or if anything's missing, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good system to work by. So if I play through just a little bit more here. So the next one, the birds and the bees here. Now I do want to say something about these graphics. These graphics are very large.
Very large.
And here's one of the things that you come across, and it's like not my creative decision to have them that large. I shot with Derek sort of in the right-hand third of the screen, right? You're always breaking up that screen into the rule of thirds, right?
Yep.
And he's always in one side or not, because I knew I would need the negative space to put the graphics, the information, because that's really ultimately what this video is all about, is people need to know what play it is and what are the dates so they can get ready to book.
Right.
Then on the first cut, I just had the title of the play and the dates.
Yep.
But then client said, oh, guess what? Union rules say that we have to have the playwright's name in the graphic, and it needs to be a certain size.
Ah, okay.
So there you go. So there are some creative choices that you have to make, or you don't even, I guess you're not making that. You're being told, this is what we have to do. So therefore, the graphic lower third there has to be kind of bigger than I would want it to be, but I don't think it's too distracting or too much in the way. I mean, it has to be there.
Right, okay. That would explain why. I noticed that it was quite large in a sense, but now I understand. Okay.
So we play through and we have Derek, he's walking through. This second scene was a tough one because he's really going through, first of all, there was stairs that I had to walk backwards down.
Oh, boy.
You don't think too much because he walks down them very nicely. And then there's 2 rooms we're actually in. So then you've got 2 color temperatures and you've got 2 lighting setups.
Right.
You definitely have 2 lighting setups. This was the trickiest one. And he's got quite a ways he's got to walk. And then another person's got to be timed to come in and hit her mark and wipe his face, getting him ready for the show, whatnot. But we did it.
Yeah, I definitely now understand how all that stuff came together. It's not easy.
Then we come to the third one, which I like this one for screwball comedy. He's backstage there. We've got, as you can see, we got a little extra that walks by. She's got a walkie-talkie on and she's carrying a dress. And, it's the little touches like that, I think, that you want to make sure. I mean, I could have had Derek just walk in by himself, but it's like, no, we're theater. Let's create some energy. So let's have someone in the background walking out while he's walking in.
Yeah. How did you time everything? Like, was there someone else that was calling the shots in the background that we don't see, or?
Nope, you just time her. You say, here's your start position, and if you look carefully, you can rewind the video, we'll do that now. She's just really standing in the corner. She's not. So if you really dissect the shot and the scene, you're like, well, why was she just standing in the corner with the dress? She's not really coming from anywhere.
Right.
But your eye doesn't catch it when you watch it in full. You just see someone hurrying past with a prop or wardrobe or whatever. And it was all just timed.
And that's where all the blocking and everything you did the day before came into play.
Kind of, but the thing is, when we were rehearsing, we were only with Derek. We didn't have any of the extras.
Oh,
they only
okay.
showed up on the day.
Okay.
But it was fine because Derek's the most important thing. He's
Right.
got to hit his marks. The extras, you can do that within the day.
So for each scene, I mean, you're still adding elements like on the day you have the extras and stuff like that. You're still playing around with the timing on the day. How many times did you have to run through each segment on average to get the shot that you have right now?
I would say that we would first I'd run through it without the Ronin. We'd time it out again. And then we would run through it with the Ronin and make sure everything was good, because we've also got to make sure we've got the boom mic sometimes that we're using. In this shot, particularly here, we're using the boom, so we have to watch the shadows, make sure we can hear him. And then we're probably running through it 4 or 5 times that we're recording.
Right. Okay.
So this scene is also kind of special because they have a relationship with Norm Foster. And I don't know if you know who Norm Foster is, but Norm Foster is one of Canada's most produced playwrights. He's written, 20, 30 plays, and they've all been produced and everything. He's a real staple in the theater world here in Canada. And he's friends with Derek.
Oh, okay.
And the theater always showcases one of his plays. So I said, when I was in one of those original meetings, I was like, we got to get Norm Foster. You
Right.
got to get him in this promo. Like, he's
Right.
got to make a cameo. We've got to take this up. And they were like, oh, the marketing team was like, oh, no, I don't know. We don't want to ask him. He's so busy and everything. I said, you just got to ask. You just got to ask. Well,
Right.
Derek said, I know him. I'll ask. So they asked, and he said, for sure.
Great.
I'll do it. And, of course, he lives out east, so the only way they could do it was through FaceTime. But it's like, that's awesome, because that's so how we are today with technology.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have a question apart, a little bit away from this, which is about for all the techie guys out there. You shot this all entirely on the Ronin. Tell us your thoughts about the Ronin for something like this.
It's perfect. It's beautiful.
Perfect, beautiful.
It does exactly what I needed it to do. I will say that inserts like the close-up of the phone here and the close-ups of the corsage that you see later, that's me handheld in a close-up, not on the Ronin. You couldn't do it because I had to change the lens and all that. But the Ronin was great. You set it up, it's ready in 10 minutes.
It's
Like,
that fast, really? Okay, because
Oh.
I've always had problems where it's like it's a bit glitchy here and there, and I've known a lot of people not too happy with it and trying to find another solution. But for this one, you're telling me that it all worked out quite well.
It worked out perfectly. The battery life is great. The control is good. I even did this without the thumb controller, which is another accessory that you can put on the side there just to give you movement of the camera on the gimbal.
Right.
We just didn't put it on. We're shooting with a wide lens. So, if you know how to use it and how to do the shot, you're going to be fine. But if you're trying to do, real close-up shots or narrow depth of field or shallow depth of field shots, it can be very, very tricky. But, whenever it gave us a glitch on set, you just shut it down and reset it and then turn it back on. It was fine.
Okay. Were there any challenges at all using the Ronin for this one?
No, it's just the physical limitations of the camera operator, to be honest. Right? It pretty much did everything. The biggest challenges we had on this thing really were probably audio.
Audio.
Because we were using a lav mic, and then we were also using a boom mic. We have, the next scene, the construction scene, there's 4 people in that, and 3 of them have lines.
Right.
So you're trying to cover everybody. And Derek's got the lav, but I didn't really want to see the lav, so we had to hide it, and so we used our grip tape hack that the Video Twins developed. But you still get a little bit of rubbing sometime in that. But we knew, okay, well, he's talking to camera, he's moving, we can get away with it.
Right.
We don't have a lot of time, and we didn't have an audio guy. It was just our team doing
Right.
it.
Okay.
But I would say audio was kind of the biggest challenge on there.
I see. Okay. Good to know. Yeah.
So I'll just keep playing here. So we got Norm Foster making his cameo on the phone, and which is great. The client wrote the line about Norm saying, "Oh, and don't forget your bow tie or wear your bow tie," and that was great because that line adds to the overall arc of him getting ready.
Did that line result in you having a rack of clothing there and the bow tie right there? Like without the line, would you have even had that there?
Absolutely, because you needed more set dressing.
Okay.
And so there was another spot they wanted us to film, which is the actual dressing room, but it
Okay.
was all mirrors. And I was like,
Ah.
I can't shoot in here. I can't avoid seeing me with the Ronin.
Right.
So we went to this other place, which I liked because it's got the Transformers in the back. And then I said, okay, bring the clothes to us. and bring in that carton of clothes. And then it just kind of, once you have a concept and everybody's on the same page, everybody can start to see how what they need to do can be done in a way to add to the overall concept or story arc, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, everybody knows how to contribute to the solution because everybody's on the same page of what needs to be done.
So your creative choices aren't just because I want to put this here, but it's here because it moves the plot forward, or it moves the concept forward, or it moves the story forward. So it all kind of came together. The next one is the one here on stage, and this just, it's called Stage Fright, and it's a murder mystery, and the stage was already set up for another play that was going on.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, this really works well because it's dark, and what I love about this set is I shot it super wide, and as the camera swings around, you get that bokeh effect from the lens, where the stage lights give you kind of that star, that sparkle, and it just adds that dramatic lens flare. I just thought that was really nice, and lucky to kind of get that. Because it's, I didn't light that. We just turned on the theater lights and they were all set, and then I just shot using them and blocked him so that it used that.
Okay.
And I did a music change here too. Because we were talking about murder mystery, I immediately went from the jazz music down to a murder mystery music, just to set the tone.
Right.
And to be a little bit dramatic.
Right.
So moving on, again, Nicole's got something. She's going to tell him he needs to go to the workshop because they want to talk to him about his play. And this is the thing. Derek has actually written one of the plays that they're going to produce. So I thought, well, let's play with that. Let's do something with that. Yeah. So, of course, Nicole ends the scene by giving him his jacket, moving it on further. He's got his bow tie on, So now he's in here, and these are the actual set designers in that.
Okay.
And this guy did a great job, but they threw me a curve because they cast him, and I didn't realize he had such a thick Irish accent. So on the day when we were filming, I was like, oh, okay, this is, because you worry, you want the audience to be able to understand everything that they're saying.
Right.
And then there's a wonderful actor here on the right doing some extra business, Richard Dupp, and I think he steals the scene. Because he walks across with the board.
Yep.
He's just, he's very, very subtle. He's not really doing much. And Derek and Stefan here are having the exchange, and Richard's just working, and he just looks as normal as can be. But when Stefan says that second line about doubting, like, Richard subtly reacts and kind of is into the conversation. And there's that awkwardness that kind of, Richard just gives a wonderful little reaction to the awkwardness that's sitting there. It's like, oh my gosh, that's just wonderful. That's just real people really acting, but it's so natural.
Yeah. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they announce the dates again, and then Richard does have the business of handing Derek the corsage.
Right.
Next scene here is the ladies are picking up some tickets. You're always looking for things to bring people into the scene, and you don't want to just start off with the main talent. Like, what else can we show? What else can we illustrate? Well, let's have somebody picking up tickets, and it's going to get great seats.
Right.
The challenge was, we've got a big space to work in. Derek has a lav mic, but we can't get the boom in on the two ladies.
Right.
Because the shadows and because the cameras, and I'm showing everything. I'm in a big wide angle, right?
Right.
So we actually redid their lines after the scene was shot.
Okay.
So I played it back on the camera, and then I had them mimic this. And then we just sort of, rolled on it on the Zoom recorder.
Right.
Different takes. And then we went into editing and we pieced it in there.
Right. Okay.
So that's what you have to think about. Like, let's say you have this scene and you're like, oh, I've only got one mic and I've got these three actors and there's this line I do want to hear.
Right.
Like, you might think, oh, I just can't do it. I won't be able to hear them. But then you think, no, you got to do the old ADR trick, which is, you record the audio dialogue later and you piece it in.
Right. Yeah. There's always a risk to it, though. It could be just a bit off. So.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So you do what you can.
Yeah. Okay. That's how you did it there. Good.
Yeah. So then he finishes off explaining the last one here, and we're walking out to the outside. And I think in rehearsal, he just said, man, how am I going to open this door? And there was also a challenge because when you open the door, this switch goes and this large fan just goes and starts blowing wind down to sort of either keep the air in or the air out or something.
Oh, okay.
Like it's some
I didn't
kind
even
of
notice
thing.
that. Okay.
Well, because we worked around it.
Right. It
So
seemed
first of all,
seamless to me, though. I didn't really notice. Okay.
Totally. So what we did was, he said, how am I going to get this door open? And I said, you're going to have fun and you're going to hip check, like boop that handicap door opener.
Yeah.
So what you actually hear, I'll play it.
Thank you.
But I needed the line, thank you, because he ends every scene with thank you.
Right.
And then as we close off, you've got the marquee out front. And when my wife first watched this cut, she's like, wow, you're really kind of low on Derek shooting up on him. And I said, well, I have to be, because that is a brand new marquee facade or whatever that they've built, and they really want to show it off. So
Right.
I said, that's why I'm shooting low. So you can see the lights, right? If I was up at his eye level, I probably wouldn't have seen the lights on the ceiling and all of that stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, and then in a way, it's almost like branding, right? You're showing the entrance of the theater, and I think that's important. It's almost like another face to the theater's identity.
Yeah, because if you really look at the logo, even the logo of the theater is a silhouette of the actual theater building.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then we do the old pullback so you can see more. And then this is what I love is the end graphics. They roll out time to the music.
Right.
And I think that just makes it boom. It just completes the whole video there, I think.
It's great. Fantastic piece.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. How long did it take to edit the whole thing?
Oh, like 3 hours maybe.
Okay.
You do that. You do the rough cut in 3 hours, and we were excited, right? So I think we came back and I got the footage in and checked out a few. I think I had a rough cut by the end of that day. But then everything slows down because then you've got to color correct and you've got to mix the audio and you've got to add the sound effects. So I would say the rough cut was done in about 3 hours, and then finishing it was probably 8.
Yeah. But these things are a lot easier to cut than, say, an interview, because interview you're trying to pick the right sounds and everything, piecing it together, and then adding B-roll and you're searching for it. Here, everything's planned. It's essentially a storyboard, and you're just assembling what you initially planned for.
Yeah. And that's sometimes a lot easier and funner way to work, Berman.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes, most of the time, we're going in there and we're really just making up stuff as we can, and then really developing it and breaking the story in the edit. Whereas this one, it's like it's all on the page before we begin. Everybody knows where's it going, and you'll tweak stuff on the day, change words here that might make more sense and timing. But
I agree. Sometimes the shooting part is the easy part. The post-production is the part that I dread.
Yeah.
But with something like this, I agree with you. When you have something all planned out, you already have a storyboard roughly put together. It's a lot of fun seeing it come into, seeing your vision come to reality, because you already know what you're expecting.
Yeah. Cool. So that's it.
Well, fantastic piece. I think it's great. And a lot of insight. I had a lot of questions. So I'm taking ideas from what you just did for probably an upcoming shoot in a couple weeks. I'll be talking to you to get more insight. Yeah, for the movement and everything. I think we have. I'm definitely gonna steal from you.
With the Ronin and stuff like that, you mean, or with some?
Yeah, with the Ronin, we gotta talk more. I think I want to do some movement and stuff like that. So I think by looking at this piece, and I hope the audience that's watching this will also get from it, is like how things work, how to light, how to move, and timing and all this stuff. So I'm definitely gonna take that from this piece here.
A piece to camera doesn't just have to be somebody standing in front of a backdrop talking to camera. You can take it up and make it very dynamic and a lot of fun. Right, hint, right, Berman?
There you go.
All right, well, there you go. That is the end of our first Backstage Pass segment here. Let us know if this was helpful in the comments or on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and we got more. If it's helpful, we got more stuff to show, more stuff to talk about. It definitely is a learning process for us. Like I said, I learned a lot from this particular video, so I hope you guys do it too.